Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jain Rank Zone classes. I'm your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking the zoology part, that is animal science. My dear students, in the last lecture, we studied about different parts of brain. We studied about the functions of different parts of brain. We also have done the classification of brain, forebrain, then midbrain, and then hindbrain. We discussed about the limbic system. Today we are going to start with diencephalon. Diencephalon cavity is called third ventricle. The cavity of diencephalon, it is known as what? Third ventricle or diocele. It is the thin roof of this cavity. The thin roof of this cavity is known as what? Epithalamus. Epithalamus is the roof of diencephalon. Okay, and diencephalon is known as what? Third ventricle. Okay, the thick right and left side of diencephalons are known as what? Thalami, and the floor is known as what? Hypothalamus. So diencephalonic cavity is called third ventricle or diocele. A thin roof of this cavity is known as epithalamus, surrounded laterally by thalami, and the floor is hypothalamus. Epithalamus. It forms the roof of third ventricle. It forms the roof of third ventricle. The epithalamus is not formed of nervous tissue, not formed of nervous tissue. It consists of pia mater only. It consists of pia matter only, hence it is of relatively little significance as a nerve center. Its anterior part is vascular and folded, and it is called anterior choroid plexus. Okay, so epithalamus forms the floor of the third ventricle, roof of the third ventricle. Epithalamus, it doesn't contain any nervous tissue. It consists of only pia matter, hence it is of very little nervous importance. Its anterior part is vascular and is folded and is known as what? Anterior choroid plexus. Behind this choroid plexus, the epithalamus gives out a short stalk, the pineal stalk, which bears a small rounded body, the pineal body, at its tip, and paired right and left habular nuclei, which are responsible for olfaction or smell. So this is about epithalamus. Okay. Now thalamus. Thalamus is a pair of, very important, pair of mass of gray matter forms the superior part of the lateral walls of the third ventricle. So the lateral walls, especially the superior part of the lateral walls of the third ventricle, they are basically made up of mass of gray matter. Okay, this covering of mass of gray matter on the superior walls of superior part of the lateral walls of the third ventricle is known as what? Thalami. It measures 3 centimeter in length and comprises 80% of diencephalon. The thalamus is principal relay station for sensory impulses that reach the cerebral cortex from spinal cord. The thalamus is the principal relay station for sensory impulses that reach the cerebral cortex. It reaches the cerebral cortex from spinal cord. Brain, stem, brainstem, and cerebellum. The thalamus is the principal relay station. It is the principal relay station for sensory impulses that reach the cerebral cortex, that reaches the cerebral cortex from spinal cord, brainstem and cerebellum. It also allows crude appreciation of some sensations. It also allowed crude appreciation of some sensations such as pain, temperature, pressure. Certain nuclei in the thalamus relay all sensory input to cerebral cortex. So thalami is the principal relay station for the sensory impulses that reach the cerebral cortex from spinal cord, from a brainstem and cerebellum. It also allows crude appreciation of some sensations such as pain, pressure, temperature. Certain nuclei in the thalamus relay all the sensory input to the cerebral cortex. The epithalamus thalamus, then comes hypothalamus. Medial geniculate nucleus is present in thalamus, which coordinates hearing sensation. Medial geniculate. Lateral geniculate for vision. So medial geniculate for hearing, lateral geniculate for vision. Ventral posterior nucleus for taste, ventral posterior nucleus for taste, touch, pressure, vibration, heat, cold, and pain. Ventral posterior nucleus for taste, touch, pressure, vibration, heat, cold, and pain. Other nuclei are centers for synapse in somatic motor system. They include other nuclei are the centers for synapse in somatic motor system. Ventral lateral nucleus and ventral anterior nucleus, they are for voluntary motor actions. They are for voluntary motor actions. Anterior nucleus concerns with emotions and memory. So medial geniculate is for hearing, lateral geniculate is for vision, ventro-posterior nucleus for taste, touch, pressure, vibration, cold, heat, pain. Ventro-posterior. Other nuclei are the centers for synapse in somatic motor system. They include. Okay. So some of the nuclei, they act as a synapse in somatic motor system. Ventral lateral nuclei, ventral lateral nuclei and ventral anterior nuclei, they are known as what? Voluntary. They are responsible for voluntary motor actions. Voluntary motor actions. Now, anterior nucleus, it concerns with emotions and memory. Anterior nucleus, it concerns with emotions and memory. Understood? Okay. Hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is visible in the lateral view of the brain. Hypothalamus is visible in the lateral view of the brain and forms the floor of diencephalon. Hypothalamus is visible in the lateral view of the brain and forms the floor of diencephalon. Hypothalamus also gives a nervous process called infundibulum, which forms pars nervosa, that is posterior pituitary, which means the rounded non-nervous pharyngeal outgrowth called hypophysis. Okay. So hypothalamus is visible in the ventral view of the brain, forms the floor of diencephalon. Hypothalamus also gives a nervous process called infundibulum, forms pars nervosa, which means a rounded non-nervous pharyngeal outgrowth called hypophysis. Okay. Both collectively form master gland called pituitary body. So both hypophysis and the infundibulum, they forms a master gland called pituitary gland. A stalked outgrowth of infundibulum combines with a pouch-like epithelial outgrowth, Rathke's pouch, of the roof of embryonic mouth, that is stomatium, forming a pituitary gland or hypophysis. So hypophysis is the name given for pituitary gland. Okay. So, a stalked outgrowth of infundibulum combines with a pouch-like epithelial growth known as what Rathke's pouch of the roof of embryonic mouth, stomatium, forming a pituitary gland of hypophysis, which secretes a number of hormones in front of hypothalamus. There is a cross of two optic nerves. There is a cross of two optic nerves called optic chiasma. Just in front of hypothalamus, there is a cross of two optic nerves known as what? Optic chiasma. Okay. Behind the hypothalamus, there is one pair of small, rounded, nipple-like bodies called mammillary bodies or corpora mammillaris. The hypothalamus consists of many masses of gray matter called hypothalamic nuclei scattered in white matter. Behind the hypothalamus, there is one pair of small, rounded, nipple-like bodies called mammillary bodies or corpora mammillaris. The hypothalamus consists of many masses of gray matter. It consists of many masses of gray matter called hypothalamic nuclei, which stays scattered in the white matter. Okay. Posterior inferior aspect of brain, you can see this is cerebrum. Okay. This is olfactory bulb. This is olfactory tract. Okay, which merges into the olfactory part of the temporal lobe. Okay. This is pituitary gland. Okay. This is optic tract, tuber cinerum. These are the mammillary bodies. These are the mammillary bodies. Okay, mammillary bodies and the olfactory bulb, they are responsible for vision. Okay, sorry, olfaction, smell. Cerebral peduncle of midbrain, cerebral peduncle of midbrain, pons, middle cerebral peduncle, medulla oblongata, decussation of pyramids. You won't understand decussation of pyramids. They basically include the crossing of the fibers. Okay, this part of the cerebellum, and these are the cranial nerves. Okay, now comes pineal gland. So after diencephalon, we move to pineal gland. What are pineal gland? Pineal gland in men, some other mammals, most fibers of optic nerves they cross in front of hypothalamus. Okay, but some fibers do not cross and innervate the eyes of their own respective sites. In man and some other mammals, most fibers of optic nerves cross, but some fibers do not cross and innervate the eyes of their own respective sites. This arrangement enables man and these mammals have a binocular vision. Rabbits simply have monocular vision. Okay. So in man and some other mammals, most fibers of optic nerves they cross, but some fibers do not cross and innervate the eyes of their own respective sides. This arrangement enables men and these mammals to have a binocular vision. Rabbits simply have a monocular vision. Pineal gland is a pine cone-shaped gland. It is a pine cone-shaped gland. It is located in the center of the brain. Pineal gland is located in the center of the brain, with which it loses all nerve connection after birth. So pineal gland is a pine cone-shaped gland, which is located in the center of the brain, with which it loses all nerve connection after birth. It is innervated by sympathetic nerves. It is innervated by sympathetic nerves. It has a photosensory role in amphibian and primitive reptiles and is called third eye. It has a photosensory role in amphibian and primitive reptiles and is called third eye. Pinealocytes secretes melatonin. Pinealocytes secretes melatonin. Mammalian pineal gland does not have a photoreceptor, but it produces hormone called melatonin. Okay, melatonin, which is anti-follicle stimulating hormone and anti-luteinizing hormone. If it inhibits reproductive function, melatonin secretions decreases after puberty. So pineal gland is a pine cone-shaped gland. It is located in the center of the brain with which it loses all nerves connection after birth. It is innervated by sympathetic nerves and it has a photosensory role in amphibians and primitive reptiles and is called third eye. So because of photosensory roles in primitive reptiles and amphibians, it is known as what third eye, but in mammals it is not having photosensory role. Pinealocytes of the cells of pineal gland secretes melatonin. Mammalian pineal gland does not have a photoreceptor, but it produces a hormone called melatonin, which is anti-FSH, anti-follicle stimulating hormone or anti-ovarian hormone. Okay, so melatonin is anti-ovarian or anti-FSH and anti-LH. It inhibits reproductive function. Melatonin secretions decreases after puberty. Functions of forebrain. What are the different functions of forebrain? Olfactory lobe. It is a center for smell. Cerebrum, the cerebral cortex, is made up of gray matter and is differentiated into sensory and associated areas. Okay, sensory and associated areas, they confirm, they recognize, they evaluate shape, color, sound, taste, and smell for sensory cells in relation with object. The cerebral cortex is basically made up of gray matter and is differentiated into sensory and associated area. The first sensory and associated area, which confirms, recognize, evaluate for shape, color, sound, taste, and smell for sensory cells in relation with object. Brock's area, known as sensory speech area or motor speech area. Brock's area is also known as sensory speech area or motor speech area. It helps to translate thought into speech. It helps to convert thought into speech, helps to translate thought into speech. It is located in the frontal lobe towards left side. It is located in the frontal lobe towards left side. It is associated with language, okay, and is also interpreted. It also helps in the interpretation or the translation of written words into speech. The damage or injury to Brock's area, sensory or motor speech area, may result in aphasia, that is inability to speak. Word deafness. It is known as what? Word deafness, that is word and word blindness. So Brock's area, it is a sensory speech area or motor speech area. It helps to translate thought into speech. Okay, what you are thinking, you can convert it into words. Whatever you are thinking, whatever you are seeing, you can convert it into words. It is located in the frontal lobe. Brock's area is located in the frontal lobe towards left side. It is associated with language, and also helps in the interpretation or the translation of written words into speech, or vice versa. The damage or injury to Brock's area, whether sensory or the motor area, may result in aphasia, that is inability to speak, okay, or word deafness or word blindness. Important areas of brain. First is the premotor area. Premotor area is located in the frontal lobe and it is the highest center for involuntary movements of muscles and autonomic nervous system. So first comes the premotor area. Premotor area or the frontal lobe, it is the highest center for involuntary movements of muscles and autonomic nervous system. Okay. Motor area or the frontal lobe. Motor area or the frontal lobe, basically it is motor area is found in the frontal lobe. Basically, it controls the voluntary movements of specific muscles. So premotor area is located in the frontal lobe. It is the highest center for involuntary movements of muscles and autonomic nervous system. Motor area is located on the frontal lobe. It controls voluntary movements of specific muscles. Then Brock's area. Brock's area is also located in the frontal lobe. It helps in translation of thought and written words into speech. So it is known as what? Motor speech area. Okay. Brock's area is sensory motor speech area. It helps in the translation of thought and written words into speech. Understood? Then synesthetic area. Synesthetic area is located in the parietal lobe. So frontal lobe is having premotor area, motor area, and Brock's area. Frontal lobe is having premotor area, motor area, and Brock's area. Okay. Then comes parietal lobe. Parietal lobe is having synesthetic area, having somesthetic area, then gustatory area. Somesthetic area, I'll change ink, parietal lobe. Somesthetic area, it helps in the perception of general sensations like pain, touch, and temperature. It helps in the perception of general sensation like pain, touch, and temperature. Okay. Then gustatory area, it helps in the sense of taste. So these are the somesthetic area and gustatory area which are located in the parietal lobe. Then auditory area located in the temporal lobe, auditory area located in the temporal lobe, auditory area, temporal lobe, okay. Olfactory area, temporal lobe, vernix area, temporal lobe, visual area, occipital lobe. So temporal lobe is having vernix area, auditory area, and visual area, and olfactory area. Auditory, olfactory, and vernix. Okay. Auditory area helps to interpret the characteristic of sound such as pitch and rhythm of sound. So it is responsible for hearing. Okay. Then comes the olfactory area, which basically is responsible for the sense of smell. Okay. Sense of smell. Then comes the olfactory area, which is sense for smell. Auditory area, sense for hearing. Vernix area, understanding speech, written and spoken. Vernix area is responsible for understanding the speech which is written and spoken. Okay. So these are the functions of vernix area, auditory area, and olfactory area, which are located in the temporal. Now, visual area is only located in the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is having only visual area. Okay. Visual area is only occipital lobe. Sensation of light. Cerebrum is the center for intelligence, emotion, willpower, memory, consciousness, imagination, experience, knowledge, reasoning, voluntary controls, weeping and laughing, micturition and differentiation. So cerebrum is considered as a center for all these activities, whether it is micturition, whether it is differentiation, whether it is voluntary control, reasoning, knowledge, okay, experience, imagination, consciousness, memory, willpower, emotion, intelligence. Cerebrum is the center for all these. Okay. If cerebrum is removed, animals become simple reflex animal. If cerebrum is removed, they become simple reflex animal. Diencephalon is a center for carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism. It relay impulses from posterior region of brain and also to posterior region of brain. It relay impulses from posterior region of brain and to posterior region of brain. Mean it can receive as well as it can transfer. So diencephalon is considered as a center for carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism, and it relays impulses from posterior region of brain and also to posterior region of brain. It secretes neurohormone. Diencephalon also secretes neurohormone. From the part of pituitary gland, it secretes, okay, it forms the part of the pituitary gland. So diencephalon also forms the part of the pituitary gland. Then it helps to secrete cerebrospinal fluid. So it is a center for carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism. It relays impulses to posterior region and from posterior region it secretes neurohormones. It forms the part of uh, pituitary gland and it helps to secrete cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. Hypothalamus is the center for hunger, thirst, sweating, sleep, fatigue, temperature, anger, pleasure, love and hate, and satisfaction. Hypothalamus is a center for hunger, thirst, sweating, sleep, fatigue, temperature, anger, pleasure, love and hatred, and satisfaction. So hypothalamus basically it helps to it is act as a center for all these purposes, whether it is hunger, thirst, sweating, sleep, fatigue, temperature, anger, pleasure, love and hate, satisfaction. It is also a center to release factors for endocrine glands. Okay, so the releasing factors and the inhibitory factors are basically they are released by hypothalamus. Hypothalamus also control the autonomic nervous system. It helps to control the autonomic nervous system. It is a center for regulation of parasympathetic, that is craniosacral activity. When stimulated, it causes slowing down of heartbeat. When it gets stimulated, it slows down the heartbeat and helps in contraction of visceral muscles. So hypothalamus it is a center for hunger, thirst, sweating, sleep, fatigue, temperature, anger, pleasure, love and hatred and satisfaction. It is also a center to release factors for endocrine glands. It also controls the autonomic nervous system. It is a center for regulation of parasympathetic means the craniosacral activity. When stimulated, it causes slowing down of heartbeat, contraction of the visceral muscles. So whenever this parasympathetic nervous system gets activated, it slows down the heartbeat and contraction of the visceral muscles. Functional areas of brain. We have already discussed the functional areas of brain. Okay. This is the primary motor area or precentral gyrus. This is the premotor area, frontal eye field area, area number 8, frontal eye field area number 6, premotor area number 4, primary motor area. Okay, this is frontal lobe. This 40 area number 43, primary gustatory area, 44 and 45, Brock speech area. Then lateral cerebral sulcus. This is lateral cerebral sulcus. Primary auditory area 42. Okay, temporal lobe vernix area 40, 39 is also vernix area, 22 is also vernix area. This is occipital lobe, 17 is primary visual area, visual association area, visual association cortex, common integrative area, parietal lobe, somatosensory association area, primary somatosensory area of post central gyrus and central sulcus. So, although you don't have to remember, okay, the picture which is given here, these areas you have to remember. Then, yeah, these areas you have to remember. And that too, vernix area, Brock's area, synesthetic area, premotor area, and motor area, they are some most of common. Okay. Now, this is the end of forebrain. We discuss about the functions of cerebrum. Okay. Now we are going to start with midbrain or mesencephalon. Midbrain or mesencephalon. It extends from pons to diencephalon, contain both white and gray matter. They contain both white and gray matter. Posterior portion of midbrain called tectum. The posterior portion of the midbrain called tectum. It is also completely covered by cerebral hemisphere. It is formed by two parts. Okay. Optic lobes. So midbrain or mesencephalon, it extends from pons to diencephalon, contain both white and gray matter. The posterior portion of midbrain is called tectum. It is also completely covered by cerebral hemisphere. It is formed by two parts. Optic lobes. These are one pair large size lobes. They are in a pair and they are large size lobes. Okay. Present on dorsal side. So they are large size lobes present on the dorsal side. Each is divided transversely. Each is divided transversely into upper and larger superior colliculus and lower and smaller inferior colliculus. So they are a pair large sized lobes present on the dorsal side. Each is divided transversely into upper and larger superior colliculus and lower and smaller inferior colliculus. So there are four optic lobes. There are four optic lobes, so-called optic quadrigemina. So there are four optic lobes, two superior and two inferior. Superior ones are larger and inferior ones are smaller. Okay, four optic lobes known as optic quadrigemina. Okay, only in mammals. In frog, these are known as bigemina. They have only two lobes. Okay, valve of Vesians joins the optic lobe with cerebellum. So optic lobes, they are a pair large-sized lobes present on the dorsal side of midbrain. Okay, it is divided transversely into upper and larger superior colliculus and lower and smaller inferior colliculus. Okay, so there are four optic lobes called optic quadrigemina only in mammals. In frog, these are known as bigemina. Valve of Wissens, it joins optic lobe with cerebellum. Midbrain extends from pons to diencephalon, contain both white and gray matter. Posterior portion of midbrain is called tectum. It is also completely covered by cerebral hemisphere, and it is formed of two parts. Optic lobes, superior optic lobe or superior colliculus, they are concerned with the reflex section, eye, head and neck, and in response to visual stimulus. Superior optic lobe or superior colliculus, they are concerned with the reflex section of eye, head and neck in response to visual stimulus. Inferior colliculus, they are concerned with the movement of head and trunk in response to hearing stimulus. So optic lobes is further divided into superior colliculi and inferior colliculi. Superior colliculi, it is concerned with the reflex section of eye, head and neck in response to visual stimuli. And inferior colliculi, they are concerned with the movement of head and trunk in response to hearing stimuli. Okay, that nodding your head when you are listening something. You have done this? Yes, ma'am. You have not done this? Yes, ma'am. This nodding of head and trunk is basically controlled by the inferior colliculi. And when you see anything and if you see, you get frightened, you get happy. So all these reflex sections of eye, head and neck in response to visual stimuli are superior, controlled by superior optic lobe or superior colliculus. Cerebral peduncle. Oh, this is the picture, but yeah. Cerebral peduncle or crura cerebri, they are a pair of thick bands of longitudinal nerve fibers present on the floor of ventral side of midbrain. So the floor of ventral side of the midbrain, especially a pair of thick bands of longitudinal nerve fibers which are present on the floor of ventral side of midbrain, they make crura cerebri or cerebral peduncle. Okay, so they are thick bands present on the floor of floor of ventral side of midbrain. Okay. The dorsal part of the cerebral peduncle, white matter, is called tegmentum. The tegmentum is white matter. Tegmentum is white matter. While most ventral part is gray matter. Okay. So the tegmentum is white matter, which is the dorsal part. So dorsal part is tegmentum, which is white, and the ventral part is gray. The ventral part, which is gray matter, is called pleura cerebri or sacrus of cerebrum. Dorsal thick wall of midbrain is known as optic tectum. The dorsal thick wall of midbrain is known as what? Optic tectum. Iter is in between tegmentum and tectum. So tegmentum is the dorsal part of cerebral peduncle, which is made up of white matter. The ventral part of cerebral peduncle is known as what? Crura cerebri. Okay, or crus of cerebrum. The dorsal thick wall of midbrain is known as what? Tectum, optic tectum, and iter is between tectum and tegmentum. Cerebral peduncle are, in fact, possessing ascending and descending tracts, connecting upper and lower regions of the brain. So cerebral peduncle are in fact connecting the ascending and descending tracts, helping to connect upper and lower regions of the brain. In white matter of cerebral peduncle, these are following subcortical structures. Red nucleus or rostrum nucleus. They are red because rich in blood supply and iron containing pigment for hemoglobin. Function with basal ganglia and cerebellum to coordinate muscular movement. Red nucleus or nucleus rostrum. They are red because of rich in blood supply, iron containing pigment or hemoglobin. Their function is to coordinate with basal ganglia and cerebellum to coordinate different types of muscular movements. Okay. Substantia nigra, it is black because of much deposition of melanin. Substantia nigra is black because of much deposition of melanin. Okay. Oculomotor nucleus, it is the origin point of third cranial nerve, that is oculomotor. From this region, fourth cranial nerve also originates, that is trochlear. So oculomotor nucleus is the point of origin of third and fourth cranial nerves, that is respectively the oculomotor and trochlear. Okay. So the white matter of cerebral peduncle is having subcortical structures like substantia nigra, red nucleus or rostrum nucleus, oculomotor nucleus. Okay. Function of the midbrain. You can see the posterior region. Okay. The tectum, reticular formation, middle lemniscus. This is cerebral peduncle. Okay. Superior colliculi, cerebral aqueduct. This is gray matter, white matter is outside. Okay. Oculomotor nucleus, red nucleus, substantia nigra, corticospinal, corticopontine, and corticobulbar axons, cranial nerve third, oculomotor. Okay, this is oculomotor nucleus, point of origin of cranial nerve third, and trochlear nerve as well. Okay, so the functions of midbrain. Pair of anterior optic lobes, which are known as superior colliculi, is related with vision. Superior optic lobes, they are known as what? Superior colliculi, they are related with vision. And pair of posterior optic lobe or inferior colliculi are related with auditory functions, hearing functions. Yes. These act as coordination centers between hindbrain and forebrain. They help to coordinate hindbrain and forebrain. Okay. So hindbrain I will be starting in the next coming video. I would like to tell you that in the next video we will be completing brain and we will be starting spinal cord. So the I will be making a short videos of 20 minutes for this hindbrain and general functions of the brain. Okay, with the closure of the brain part, and we will start with the next, that is spinal cord. So my request is to please go through the videos which you have watched previously so that you could better revise all the videos, because everything is very important in terms of NEET examination. Okay. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye.